श्रीभगवानुवाच अशोच्यानन्वशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाषसे गतासूनगतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पंडिताः. The blessed Lord said, "You have grieved for those that should not be grieved for. Yet you speak words of wisdom. The wise grieve neither for the living nor for the dead." Ashocyan, those who should not be grieved for. Shokaha, grief. Ashochaha, not grieved. Ashocyan, those who should not be grieved for. Anvashochaha, has grieved. Tvam, thou. Prajnavadan, vadan, words. Prajna, wisdom. Prajnavadan, words of wisdom. Cha bhashase, bhashase, speaking. Cha bhashase, and speaking. Gatasoon, the dead. Agatasoon, the living. Na, not. Nanushochantihi, grief not. Panditaha, pandita, the wise people. You have grieved for those that should not be grieved for, yet you speak the words of wisdom. The wise grieve neither for the living nor for the dead. This is the first verse that Sri Krishna ever spoke anything in the Gita in the midst of the battlefield, especially after Arjuna was constantly telling Sri Krishna how dejected he was feeling. And look at this verse. It's almost like a psychotherapeutic shock to Arjuna. Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna that he's sounding like a wise man, but he's not a wise man. He's telling him that wise people will not grieve for things that you're grieving for, so you're probably not wise. So he's giving Arjuna almost like a shock treatment by ending this verse saying, Nanu shochanti panditaha. Wise people do not grieve for this, but you are grieving for it. But he starts off with a clear message. He says, you should not grieve for what you are grieving for. So in this case, Arjuna was immediate problem that he was facing is this conflict of killing Bhishma, his favorite grandsire, Drona, his most loving teacher, and he was opposite them. So he was under a deep conflict, and he just couldn't even think about fighting with them. So that was his delusion. And Sri Krishna says that is not even the right thinking, because Drona doesn't just represent your teacher, he represents someone who will live forever. What he did with Eklavya, how he trained you, those things will represent forever. Similarly, Bhishma is the flower of the Hindu culture, and what he did was great, so that will live forever. If you grieve for their bodies dying, well, every body eventually dies. Everything in the outer world anyways is impermanent. So Krishna is telling him, every body dies, but nobody dies. It's telling him, raise your level of consciousness. You are grieving for things that you shouldn't be grieving for. Let's take an example. If we are troubled at the physical level because we are feeling cold, then that's real trouble because we are identified with the physical body. If at that time we are enjoying, let's say, a great movie, and emotionally we are having a lot of good time, at that time we'll forget, or we will not have any issues temporarily at the minimum about the body issues. So when we've raised our awareness from the body level to the emotion level, the body level issues fade off, kind of fade off. They're still there. And then similarly, if you raise from body to emotion to intellectual level, then emotional issues go away. In this verse, Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna to go even beyond. In this case, he's having an intellectual breakdown and intellectual issues. The issue you see at the intellectual level, at that level of consciousness, you cannot fix it at that level. You have to rise above that situation to fix that situation. So Sri Krishna is, with this guidance, encouraging Arjuna to raise his level of consciousness to the spiritual consciousness, where he will see clearly that things outside anyways are impermanent. Why grieve for it? And that his real nature is divine, and so is the nature of everyone else. And if he remembers that he'll never grieve for people who are living or dead, because they were anyways temporary. It's a fantastic message given by Sri Krishna to Arjuna, and it's a clear message. Sri Krishna is trying to re-educate Arjuna by this message. Arjuna has identified himself as his ego of this body, and he's forgotten his real nature. And when he starts with that identification, he has all of the issues in his mind. So this is the re-education process started by Sri Krishna, and we will continue this going forward. Hari Om.